We should be live. Hey, everybody, welcome to our weekly Ask Me Anything here on Dottotech. How the heck are you all doing this fine day? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. It has been gorgeous weather here. We got great spring weather here in Vancouver, and I can't believe I've already been married for like an entire month. So that's pretty amazing. So let's see. I'm not getting the feed here. Let me just check over here. I'm just checking a couple of different locations to see what's happening, to see if we are indeed live. Then it looks like I should be here. Still getting used to using Ecamm Live to deliver the content. So let's see what's going on. And if you're there, say hi. If you're in the comments, hello. Yeah. Oh, good. Yep, the feed's happening. There it is. Just a delay. Just took a little while for us to get going. From South Louisiana, Cheryl, how the heck are you? Hey, and welcome. Glad you are joining us. So it looks like, oh, it's interesting. Now, I'm just working with Ecamm Live, kind of getting used to Ecamm Live doing the delivery, and I'm auditing the YouTube feed here on my second computer, which is showing me how many people are online. Ecamm doesn't seem to show me the number of people that are online, but it does feed through the chat very nicely. So Vincius, hey, how are you doing? And Brad, hello. Rajan, how are you, sir? Sran, how are you? Zoltar 358, greetings from Poland. Greetings to you, Dzień dobry. To you, sir. And Ron, how you doing? From Florida, I believe. London Dine Dates. You guys all, welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got lots. We're going to spend about 35, 45 minutes or so chatting today, just visiting in, just enough time to hit on kind of top-level topics as it's been an interesting week in the world of technology. My goodness, I posted a vlog last week on the Google the Google Duplex, and boy did it ever generate a lot of comments and response. So if you folks are interested in that, we'll make sure we spend some time chatting about it. So here's how it's going to work on the live stream. Is I'll do the best I can to stay up on top of what's happening in chat as it moves through. If I miss your comment, I apologize, but I'll track it through as best as I can to answer your questions. And this isn't Ask Me Anything. It's as they say in radio, the phone boards are open for whatever may be of interest to you. I've got a couple of starter topics that I'd love to share with you, and I'd love to talk about. I'd love to talk about certainly what's happened with Google Duplex. A terrible story, I think, which is kind of flying under the radar right now. But Cisco has announced that up to 500,000 of their routers are compromised with malware. And they're blaming the Russians. I'm not sure if they're blaming the Russians because that's the thing you do now is blame the Russians for anything that's happening bad online. But they're blaming the Russians. 50,000 routers. And then they're not just from Cisco. They're from many major manufacturers are all compromised. Let me drop a link in. A good story from Techworm on it. Let me just drop that in. And you guys can have a look. Now, how do I... Oh, there we go. I just commented in there. I just dropped the link in. So you could have a look at it. But, oh, my goodness. It's a terrifying story because what they're saying is that these routers are so kind of primitive as far as... And they're consumer grade, right? They're consumer grade. So they're all over the map. They're pretty much in, many of us have them at home. They are not necessarily in businesses. But they're so primitive as far as the capability of securing them that they don't actually have the ability to be able to go in and through a firmware upgrade or any easy way make them secure. So they're vulnerable to exploits. Even if they clean out this particular exploit, it's going to be something that's kind of well known, and we could indeed be seeing many troubles heading down the pipe. So very concerned about that. Dennis, you're asking, is the replay of your webinar on Wednesday? No, this is first of all, this is an Ask Me Anything Live. This is a live broadcast right now. Our webinar Wednesdays You can gain the replay. You can take them in live each and every week. You can go in. You can join us live. Let me just grab the URL so you can know where to go to register if you want to come to a webinar Wednesday. Let me just find it here while we're talking. And what happens with it is we I'll just copy that link. There we go. Is after we broadcast the webinar, I put a replay up to anybody who's registered for the webinar is available to them, and that's available for 48 hours after the webinar is done. After that, we reserve the webinars for our patrons. So we've got a backlog. We've got a catalog of about 57. Actually, this last week was our 57th webinar, and they're all in our webinar archives, which are patrons. If you sign up and support us on Patreon, Dottotech is a community-funded channel supported through Patreon. If you're one of our patrons, you gain access to one of the perks is you gain access to that archive, and that's patrons at the $10 a month level, which most people are. So that's how you end up in it. If you're interested, Dennis, there we go. Steve, if you had to offer to host a new TV show, would you take it? Oh, Colin. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, for 15 years, I hosted a television show here in Canada, which is similar to the kind of content that we deliver on the channel on a weekly basis. It was called Dotto's Data Cafe and then Dottotech. And I loved being part of a TV show. I loved the teamwork. I loved being part of the crew. I enjoyed that process. I didn't enjoy the politics of being engaged in, of dealing with networks and sponsors and all of that sort of stuff. I really love YouTube because it's a direct connection to my audience. I never had that when I did television. But TV is still it's still a powerful siren song. It would have to be the right show. It would have to be the right show. And I'd have to really be confident that it was the right fit. I wouldn't just go back. I wouldn't go back and do a pay-to-play show. For the kind of midstream tech type shows, the content that I do on YouTube, any television network that's interested in our show now is interested in somebody coming with sponsors in hand and paying for their airtime and actually doing their own deal, paying for the airtime and acting as a middleman, collecting money from sponsors, paying for the show, and then broadcasting it. Now, in Canada, that's a broken model because we lose, if you do that, if you pay to play, you lose what's called your C number, your Canadian content number, which means that you don't count for Canadian content in the Canadian television spectrum. And so you don't get tax credits, and it's far more expensive for you to produce your broadcast. So it's really complex. So coming on, for me to return to television as a producer and host, I don't know. It's too much work. But in the right situation, if you have an offer, let me know. Let me know. That would be interesting. Good stuff. Dennis, you missed this week. Sorry. This week's webinar Wednesday was awesome. We had, it was a smaller crowd because I knew we'd have a smaller, it would be a less, because it wasn't about productivity per se. So we always have a little bit smaller numbers when we kind of do lifestyle things. But it was Vicky McLeod, and we were talking about the importance of disengaging and digital detoxes and kind of that whole dealing with the fear of missing out and dealing with spending a little bit less time online. And Vicky doesn't like the term, but I don't really have a better term. Balancing your life more, your online and your offline life, and finding some balance to that. And a big part of the messaging that came through was, that when we allow our online life to impact our real life family and the people that we're really with, well, then probably you should be doing something about that. So that's so it was a good webinar. It made me think. Bridget, there's a story in the papers about the EU data protection and the fact that it may be hiding some data protection issues. Oh, I'm sure that there's going to be lots of issues coming down the pipe. It's interesting to see how much criticism there is of it, and seeing some of the big players dragging their heels. The one thing that interested me as they launched the GPRU today, GPR, did I pronounce it right? Today was the GPDA, General Protect GP. Oh, I've lost the acronym. GDRP. Oh, I can't remember the acronym. At any rate, how many U.S.-based and American-based newspapers have chosen to just shut off access rather than be compliant? And that confuses me a little bit. It frankly confuses me a little bit. And I'm wondering why it's so difficult for them to become compliant. What is it that they're doing with the data? Because for the most part, I don't know about you, but I think that the rules that the European Union have put forward are fairly reasonable and certainly attainable. It's not. It doesn't change. If you were respecting people's privacy in the past, it should be pretty easy for you to get on board and start to follow these rules. So many of the major publishers, though, are saying that they're not doing it. Now, I'm wondering if that's just being them being pissy and being upset that they're being told what to do by those Europeans, or if they really have legitimate issues where they're afraid they're going to be fined and they can't make their systems work. Because they've had lots of lead time. And we've dealt, as far as the email side goes and all of that stuff, we've dealt with the Canadian spam laws. We've already been through, you should be following best practices already for data protection and privacy and respecting your community's privacy. Should we not? I think we should. GDPR, thank you so much, Gavin. I don't know what's the matter with my brain. I know, I just had my workout and it's all scrambled a little bit. Pat says, Steve, when you say we, do you work alone? Thanks. Pat, I do work alone in my office here, but Dottotech is definitely a team. We have 3 semi-full-time, 3 people who are not dedicated full-time to me, but they're full-time on the job, if you know what I mean. So we've got April, who does all of our system stuff, and she does all of our admin stuff. She does Infusionsoft. She manages our back end. A big part of her responsibility is dealing with GDPR right now. We've got Liz, who is in London, and Liz is our designer and does all the graphics and editing on all of our content. And then Sophia is our copywriter. And so she does all the copy, and she writes all the great blog posts that we have, and she takes all of our content and converts them into blog posts and manages the website content. And she is in Dallas, I think, or Houston. She's in Texas. It's a big state. She's somewhere in Texas. And so that's the team, and I couldn't do it without them. For the longest time, I was a solopreneur. I did it all myself. And what happens with our team now is it allows me to kind of concentrate on the things that I do best and that nobody else can do as far as our stuff, which primarily recording videos, etc., doing these sort of live streams. And so it's great to have a team, and the tools have really make it possible. We use Slack for all of our communications, and we've just been reevaluating Slack. We're staying with it for the time being. We can talk about that a little bit later as well. And the other tool that's really been essential for us is Asana. We manage all of our projects in Asana, which works tremendously well for us. Catherine, which country are you based from? I'm in Canada. We are in the west coast of Canada. I'm just outside of Vancouver, just south of Vancouver, close to the U.S. border, in a small town called Ladner. So literally, if I walk out my block, walk out my house, I am 2 blocks, a block and a half to a marina, which is on the estuary of the Fraser River, right on the close to the Pacific Ocean. So yeah, beautiful. Lived here my whole life. Dennis, I've got a great crew. I do indeed have a great crew. I'm lucky. I'm blessed that way. Bridget says, the Orlando Sentinel and all the big guys, do you think they are hiding stuff? Well, that's what my question is. Why are they blocking? Now, I'm wondering if they're just trying to embarrass the European Union to a certain extent and for telling them, for setting these rules in place. Although that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? It doesn't make a lot of sense them being childish. The mainstream media certainly wouldn't be childish about anything, would they? But if not, then what is the issue that they're having? Now, part of it might be the commitment that we need to have to like if anybody requests what information you have on them, you have to provide it within I think it's a 3-day window. There's a window of time that you have to provide all of the information that you have and be willing to delete all of that information from your service should they request. So it might be a manpower issue where they think that, and I could see where people are going to be doing nuisance stuff. I mean, we saw the moment that GDPR came into effect that there was lawsuits already launched against Facebook and Google. Now, I think those lawsuits are probably almost nuisance suits to a certain extent. You know, that people are going after them right out of the gate. And so, are these enterprises concerned that they're going to get? It's almost like a DNS attack, like a denial of service attack on the internet, that people are going to request their information just so that they have to use up bandwidth and spend resources to comply with it. So that could well be it. And I think we could see people doing that. I think we could see people, certainly there's going to be people out there that really want to go after companies and demand. I imagine Apple's going to get lots of demands, and I imagine Google and Facebook are going to get the demands that they comply with those GDPR regulations and provide the requested information within the period of time. And when they don't do it, people are probably going to come after them and with lawsuits and that sort of stuff. So there we go. Yes, Bill is in Vancouver. I don't know if he was telling where I'm from. All right. How much does it cost to have a team? Tech for your needs. It costs. Our budget total, a budget for all of our team right now is around $8,000 a month for all of the stuff that we do. The reason I share that with you is I mention it in our Patreon page, because all of our money from Patreon I commit to putting to our team. So I'll say that. I won't say what individuals are and where that all goes, but it's you can find people fairly reasonably priced if you look at a place like Fiverr or if you go to Upwork. There's lots of different ways to find teams. I think the biggest and most difficult decision that an entrepreneur has is bringing people on. And that first person you bring on board, that's got to be the biggest challenge. That's the most anxiety. And in a lot of ways, it's going to set your stage for success, is choosing the right person, finding somebody that complements you and has strengths where you don't have strengths. It's a big deal. And I know we need another person eventually on the team, and I probably go through more anxiety around the hiring process than any business process that we go through. It was easier to install Infusionsoft for me and make that decision than it was to hire people. It's a real challenge. Robert, did your team decide to drop Slack? And have you heard about the new Asana Slack integration? Great question, Robert. Yes, no. Yes, we've heard about the new integration. No, we decided not to drop Slack. We had a team meeting yesterday, and there was much eye rolling at Steve when I suggested that we possibly would drop Slack. The bottom line is the Asana integration. So for those of you who are unaware, Slack is a communication management tool. And it replaces within Teams email and instant messaging, and the fact that you have to go to multiple sources to communicate, and all of the lost productivity when you're looking in email for something that somebody sent you in Facebook Messenger. You all know what I'm talking about. And if teams are communicating through multiple channels, that's just a recipe for ineffectiveness. So Slack is a message unifying service. All of our communication, we had to train the staff to have all of our communication fold into Slack. But Asana has a communication module built in well, and we use Asana for all of our project managements. And so when there's a question about a video edit that's happening, or the timing of the timing of something, somebody's going to be delayed on getting a product or a project completed that they promised me, or something like that, we communicate in that through the Slack messaging app, because it's built in and it's attached right to the tasks. And it's really efficient. It's a really nice way of communicating. So my thought process was, would we be more efficient if we moved all the communication into Asana, because I was finding that I was splitting time between Asana and Slack having conversations with the same person. And that, to me, seemed counterintuitive. But Slack doesn't allow you to set up person-to-person threads. All of the threaded conversations happen based on projects or tasks. So you don't have that nice personal thread that you have in Slack, or that you have in any messaging app, where you go and I say, I want to see all my conversation with April, and when I want to talk to April, I just go to April in the app and go through it. We'd have to do it through a task or through a project. And that's not intuitive. That doesn't make sense. So that's why we decided not to go that way, and we're still going to have all of our conversations in both, but we're going to be cognizant of making sure that the conversations about tasks and projects are in Asana, and the conversations about business and all the rest of the stuff are in Slack. So that was where that decision made up. Thanks for asking that question, Robert. It was an interesting conversation. It was a worthwhile conversation to have, because it made me think about it, and it made us all think about it. Sam says, I think the U.S. papers are looking for the new rules looking at the new rules as a new paywall for content. Well, they're certainly all looking for ways to make money and to kind of get, they don't like giving away content. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of paywall access come up. That's a great point, Sam. This is their chance to have a reset. That is not their fault. It's not them just asking for money. No. They had to reset things, didn't they? Makes total sense. Good point. And Molemag says, my guess is that they've been scared witless by lawyers. GDPR is turning into a great earner for my learned friends. Yeah, lawyers, they find a way. They do find a way. Childish, they'd hurt themselves. I'm not too sure I'm not too sure what that was about. Okay. Gavin asks, how is your dog Farley? Farley, right? Can you see him right there? Where are you, Farley? Farley, there he is. He is doing pretty well. He's back 100%, being a total jackass. And so I would say he's happy. He's going to the vet. As soon as I'm done today with the live cast, I'm taking back to the vet for his final post-op follow-up from the 2 operations and to get his last stitches out and to get the go-ahead to kind of move back into some sort of a more aggressive fitness program. He hasn't been allowed to run. I'll be off leash for several months. Poor guy. He's bored is what he is. He is bored. Okay. Most of the team is not full-time, right? From NLTMW, none of the team is full-time. They're all part-time. They're all contractors that have other clients that they work with. And that works out really well, too, because they're all in our space, right? Sophia's writing in the tech space. Liz is constantly designing and doing other people's websites. And April has other clients in Infusionsoft and even other CRMs. And consequently, I think that churn, the fact that they're working with other projects and other people, means that they get lots of experience in other areas. So we say, hey, we're thinking about doing XYZ thing. One of my team members often says, oh, I did that 6 months ago with, in a project. This is what we learned from it. So I really benefit from that. So it works out real well. Stephen Alley says, I had a look at my trash folder and I had 17 GDPR emails already. I know. It's funny that it's almost ironic, is it not, that GDPR is designed to reduce the amount of spam and that sort of stuff. And our entire inbox, we're getting emails from people who we're on mail lists that we haven't heard from in years as they become GDPR compliant. I don't know about you, but I'm taking advantage of that, and I'm hitting the unsubscribe button an awful lot. Are you doing that too? How many of you unsubscribe to? I probably am unsubscribing to 65-70% of the emails that I'm receiving notifying me about GDPR. Sorry, folks. It's not that I don't like you. It's just I don't have time for you. Don't unsubscribe from the Dottotech channel. Please, please, please. Instead, what you should do is subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel while we're on the topic if you haven't yet subscribed. All right. Let's Farley quit nuzzling me. There we go. Next question we have. Gavin, have you ever used Zoho 1? I hear so much about Zoho. A lot of people want me to dive in and start doing demos on the entire Zoho suite of tools. And I've played with them and I've dabbled with them, and they certainly do seem to be very capable. And I think for people that are really concerned about the privacy side of Google, they are a great option. I have not yet used them, but it's something that I'm sure that we will be doing at some point in the not too distant future. Rejan, how to generate interest in tech software sales that as it makes a lot of money? How to generate interest in a lot of tech broadcast sales as it makes a lot of money. There it is. I can add that to the broadcast. I think you're talking about how do you, are you talking about affiliate marketing? Are you talking about doing promotion and doing kind of online marketing? That's what we do. I mean, we are Dottotech. Ultimately, we're content marketers. We explain things, we teach things, we deliver content of value to our community, and then we look for opportunities to generate revenue from the back end. And there's a myriad of opportunities to generate money. Patreon is one where we make money from crowdfunding. We certainly have a few affiliate relationships with different products. We sell online courses. We make money off advertising on Facebook, advertising on YouTube. So there's a lot of different ways to generate revenue. That's, I guess that's kind of how I would answer that. Alan, Steve, do you remember? Yes, I do remember you from your old TV days. Alan must be somewhere in Canada. Yeah, we were on there for 15 years. And most of the country, we were stripped daily. We had so much content that we were stripped every day. Yeah, so, yeah, we a little bit of a household name. I call myself a B-list celebrity in Canada. Dennis, if I ever need a chef on staff, feel free to contact me. Thank you so much, Dennis. Yes, if I ever do need a chef, I will indeed. And that you got the full chef regalia going there, don't you? That looks good. It's a good-looking thing. Okay, back to full Farley mode. Indeed, NLTMW. Full Farley mode is good news. Although he's already where's my beard brush? He took my beard brush off my desk, and you won't be able to see it, but yeah, you can see. He chewed it up. I don't know why. Instead of brushing my beard, now it's all a chewed thing. So there we go. Brian, what are you saying here? How you doing, Brian Spellman? Love the vlogs on how you make the videos. Thoughts on doing another one for those of us on a budget with free tools? That's a good idea. Making videos with free tools. That's a great idea. I'll take that under consideration. I was looking. That's one of the beauties of, somebody asked me a little bit earlier about doing television as opposed to doing, or not as opposed to, but when I look at doing television, and the big epiphany I had when I started doing YouTube was a big part of our success on YouTube. And the reason I'm confident about moving ahead using YouTube is this exact moment where you've got a community that you're reaching out to, that you're talking to, and they tell you what they want videos on, what content they want. They're letting you know what they like and what they don't like. In the past, when you do television, you've got a sponsor. They're telling you what they want to sell. It's not what the audience wants to see. It's what they want to sell. And that's because you need the money. That's who's paying the bills. But you folks pay the bills. One way or another, you pay my bills. Whether it's a direct payment, if you give me super chat money here, if you watch my YouTube videos and you have the ads running, if you sign up for our courses, if you support us on Patreon, one way or another, you guys all generate our revenue. And so it behooves me to listen to what you're saying, and it takes the pressure off. Because I don't have to say, I hope that they'd be interested in this. No, you tell me what you're interested in. Thank you, Brian. I will, as I say, take it under advisement. There we go. Ryan's asking, how do you decide what is a product for sale and what to give away? As far as my content goes, that's a great question. I'm a big fan of Amy Porterfield. I don't know if you tune in. She's a real solid content marketer. And she talks about that quite a bit in her content. And you don't have to worry too much about giving away too much, I think, if you're a content marketer. Because at the end of the day, even if you put on, say, a course, say my Evernote course, if you were to sign up for our Evernote course, which we sell for $149, there's almost nothing in that course that you wouldn't be able to find if you went through 5 years of my videos. But it's structured for you. It's organized for you. It's all condensed and compressed and made into a logical sequence. So even though you could probably find all of that free content, should you choose to, many people will still choose to buy the course. So consequently, if you are in content marketing, you have to, I think, deliver the best goods. Nothing bothers me more than people putting forward a webinar saying, I'm going to teach you how to get started with Evernote. And you sign up for that webinar, and you go on, and they say, Evernote's a great product, and they show you what Evernote does, and they say, if you want to learn how to use it, sign up for my course. If it's a lost leader, if they base it, not a lost leader, if it's a false promise at the beginning, give it away. Over time, people will learn to start to look to you and learn to trust you, and eventually you'll earn the revenue. You don't have to force people, and you don't have to fool people to get it. So for me, I never worry too much about giving too much away. If you watched my video series that we just did, we did a 3-part series on how we make our videos. I could have charged for that video series. There's an hour of video over 3 videos where I walk through from beginning to end, from when I start recording a video through to the final published product on YouTube. And there's a lot in there. Now, it's not structured the way a course is, and it doesn't have all of the background and extra information, but it's all there. It's pretty much, it's a brain dump. But we still sell our courses on how to create online video. And so I don't really worry too much about it, because I think if you build a community, eventually you'll get the revenue opportunity. I spoke a long time on that, didn't I? There we go. All right. I hope that I answered your question, Ryan. Zoltar. I'm just going to keep saying Zoltar. Just 17. I've gotten more than 100 in the last 2 days. Oh, he's talking about how many emails in the inbox. Yeah, it depends on how many. Zoltar, it depends on how many newsletters and how disciplined you've been on unsubscribing from newsletters. So you, sir, have not been disciplined in unsubscribing from newsletters in the past. And Dennis is unsubscribing from at least 50%. That is I'm not surprised with that at all. Mark, unsubscribed a lot over the last few days, especially the chronic JV emailers. Yeah, the people that are constantly doing it. I hope that you didn't unsubscribe from us. Just checking. Why is that? Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just still occasionally distracted. Oh, I'm looking at the screen now, and I can actually see the number of viewers on that are on live now reflected in the eCam window. By the way, if you're interested in how I'm producing today's live, next week our video, probably on Wednesday, that's going to drop, is going to be about using this tool, the live tool that I'm using right now, eCam Live. And I'm actually recording my screen session as a presenter right now at the same time as I'm broadcasting. And I'm going to include parts of that. So you'll see exactly what we're doing here and how I'm, calling up the names out here and changing the lower thirds and changing the graphics and done all the broadcasting. So that's all. So you guys are going to be part of next week's video. I should have got you to sign it. Release, shouldn't I? Oh, well, too late. By the way, let me do a promotion because I got to get disciplined to do these things. So I want, coming up this week on Webinar Wednesday, how cool is that? We are going to be talking about Patreon and crowdfunding. We've had lots of questions from you folks on how Patreon works and how we do crowdfunding and how you can get involved in starting to do crowdfunding. And I've just dropped a link in as well for it. So join us. Every Wednesday, we do a free webinar here on Dottotech. It's called Webinar Wednesday. It's a 1-hour free tutorial. I walk through and I teach you. It's just exactly what we're talking about. I give away as much free content as I can in that hour. I'll teach you how we set up Patreon. I'll give you the best tips I can give you on it. And then that webinar is then archived. It's free for you to see for 48 hours afterwards, and then afterwards it's archived for our patrons. And that's it's a little bit meta this week's webinar because we're talking about Patreon, and of course we're on the air because of the support of you folks through Patreon. So there we go. All right, let me see. So I'm doing, as I say, if I miss one of your comments, my apologies. Doing the best I can as far as that goes. All right, Bridget. Yeah, free tools, terrific ideas. Can't wait. Good stuff, indeed. Yes, it is. Okay, NLTMW. And your courses are up to date. Info. They never let the machines win. Yeah, that's true. We always, and actually, it's difficult to keep all of the courses up to date. That's one of the things that occasionally slips, but we do the best we can. So Alan says, Vidyard or UseLoom have free video recording services. Okay. When I start looking at free recording tools, depending, if you're on a Mac, you can make videos just with QuickTime. And you can even do screen recording of the sort that we do of their screencast. So you can do a fair bit. As far as video editing, using a tool like iMovie and stuff. So there's a variety of different ways that you can get in fairly inexpensively. And even if you are on a Mac, even if at the very low end, at the very reasonable end, the price of the video editing software that I use for all of our online tutorials, not for my vlogs, but for our regular demos, that's ScreenFlow, and it used to be $99. I think it's $149 now. I'm not positive. Okay, so Dennis, are those 3 videos still available to view on your how-to? Yeah, the only videos that we pull back and we don't share are our weekly webinars. All of the rest of our videos are on our channel. So Dennis, if you haven't yet subscribed to the Dottotech channel, click on the subscribe button, which you'll see down, what side is it? Down there? Right down there, there's a subscribe button. So click on that and subscribe. And go to the channel, and you'll see in our latest videos, it was about 2 weeks ago, that we published a 3-part series on how we create our video. I'm sure you're going to find it interesting. I think I'm pretty proud of it. It was a pretty good series. It was a really good series. Okay. Oh, Mark says, I made the cut, Steve. I am also a Patreon subscriber. Mark, yes, I recognize your name. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. To any of you that are Patreon subscribers that are on board with us right now, that are on the call with us right now, thank you so much. We do appreciate you. As a matter of fact, our Patreon subscribers were a big part of our team meeting yesterday and the conversation about us increasing some value that we can give to our patrons. So we were discussing how we can do that. So news on that is coming soon, I hope. Armando says, excellent advice, Steve. Do not force people. The right persons will knock on the door by themselves. Here's another thing that, having been online now, I guess kind of full-time online for about 5 years, what I've learned is just a minute. Are you okay, Larry? Okay. Larry's doing some work. He's hanging a fan in our bedroom, and I just heard a big crash. And so I was just making sure Larry's okay. Larry's okay, everybody. One thing I've learned is there are so many people online that you can build your community and you can build your tribe the right way. You don't have to try and fool people into joining you and force people to join you and to become part of your community, to become your customers and part of your tribe. If you are erstwhile, if you give good value, if you are honest about what you deliver and do your best, you'll attract the right people, and those are the ones that will support you. I can't tell you. We get hundreds of comments on YouTube, and the number of a lot of creators get dozens or hundreds of hateful comments and people that are just being rude and disgusting. We get very few. A disappointingly few numbers, as a matter of fact, because I quite enjoy them when they happen. But it talks to the quality of our community, which is one of the things that I'm really most proud of. Is we've attracted a group of people. Many of you recognize names from coming back over and over again, that really are like-minded and quality. So yeah, you can definitely, this online space, amazing as far as building a marketplace like that. Oh yes, Robert is quoting my the little sign. One person can make a difference, but everyone should try. That's absolutely right. That was from actually Larry, who just made the crash. That was his wife that gave it to me. His wife is PJ, who is my trainer, where I go and work out every day. Is the gym that she runs, or the fitness studio that she runs. All right. So again, I apologize if I'm missing. I think I'm keeping up pretty much on the comments. Let's see. I'll definitely try and make sure to tune in. Okay, good. That was Dennis. You are going to check in on that series of videos on. And plus, we have a little mini course on how I've got a course that you might be interested in called "How I Create Video in Less Time Than Writing a Blog," and that is a little bit older. Probably should look at refreshing it sometime soon. Let me just find the link for it. And it's a great start. And it goes through. It's far more course. It's far more like a course than the videos, which are more entertaining on YouTube. I would look at them both, but that is something right there that I just dropped in. That's one of our mini courses, is a free mini course, how I create videos in less time than writing a blog. That might be something valuable for you. So Mark says, hey Steve, how the heck are you doing this fine day? I'm doing fine. Best opening line on YouTube ever. I don't know, some guys, I've been watching as I've gone and started to journey into, thank you, Mark. But as I've started to journey into doing these weekly vlogs that I'm now releasing every weekend, I got a little intimidated watching, the millennials in their vlogs and how good a job they do. And people like Peter McKinnon with his pow, I don't know how he does it, but there's some pretty classic openings. Now, I think we bracket it nicely because we got the good opening and we got the have fun storming the castle closing. I think we've got a nice bookend pair. But I appreciate it. But I don't ever take it for granted. I don't ever take it for granted. Ron, when you are a one person doing broadcasts, you can't keep up with comments. You can. Well, I haven't mentioned it, but there's an advantage long term in this YouTube Live to me not being able to keep up with comments. And that is, if people really want their comment and their question asked, they can use Super Chat, which makes it very obvious to me that they want their comment because they've given us money for it, and then we benefit from the getting of money. Now, we haven't quite reached that point of the volume yet, but I'm hoping in the near future that this is going to be such a popular vlog or popular live stream that people are going to be just clamoring to have me answer their question, and they are going to be throwing money at me left, right, and center. Perhaps. But we will see. At some point, it'll be exciting if it ever happens. Bridget says, I'd like to put your webinar Wednesday on my community calendar. What would you like me to put up as a tease and time zone? Just drop me a note. You can just drop a note to info@dottotech.com. But if you are going to do that in a community calendar, we've got a permalink that I can send you, which is going to have every week's, which is the same link to register each and every week. And as a matter of fact, if you use this link here, sorry, I'm just going back to my link library. If you use this link here that I've been sharing with you, this doesn't go to a specific webinar. This goes to a page that always has the most current webinar on it. So that would be the thing to share. Thank you. Daryl, super chat a la Roberto Blake. Yeah, Roberto seems to do pretty well. I've watched a few people doing quite well with the super chat. I think it takes time for your community to kind of figure it out, and that's I don't want you folks to think that's the only reason that I'm doing this. But in the back of my mind, it's always been that ultimately it can be a revenue generator. Because I know for Tim Schmoyer, for Roberto, for a lot of the people that I follow, this sort of a live stream does end up being a bit of a revenue generator. And right now it's community service, but if it does make money downstream, so much the better. Yeah, Roberto does a great job. Roberto's a bright kid. Is it fair to call him a kid? Yeah, I guess I can. When you got a beard this color, you can call anybody a kid. Did you already talk about Google Keep, Deirdre? No, I did not. Thank you for bringing up Google Keep. So we dropped a video Monday on Google Keep. It's done pretty well. A lot of people have given us some really interesting feedback on it. I was always a little reluctant to get into Google Keep to show it because I'm such an Evernote fan, and frankly, part of our business is tied up in Evernote's success because we sell one of our revenue streams is an Evernote course. But so many people have asked us about Google Keep, and they've asked us, and they've wanted us to do a video on it. So I finally bit the bullet, and about a month ago I started using Google Keep and installed it and started to kind of figure it out. And I got to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised with how sophisticated and mature it is. The thing is, it's really elegant and simple. Google Keep is a note-taking app from Google that ties right. If you're using the Google suite of tools, you should really try and use Google Keep. I can see how I'm going to use it along with Evernote. And let me screen share with you because I'll show you. I haven't even checked how to do this. There it is right there. Can I screen share with you? Is that feeding through a screen? Yes. Just a minute. Oh, there it is. Show entire screen. There it is. There it is. Okay, so you can't see. In the very top of my screen here is that I'm working with, and you'll see this if you watch the video later, is all of the video tools from Ecamm Live. So for some reason, they don't show that in this desktop view. But I've got Google Keep open here in the bottom, and you can see it here in the bottom with all my notes so that I can quickly grab different notes so I can drop links and stuff in as we're going along. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty sweet. So Google Keep has become a, let's stop the screen share. How do I do it? Just a minute. Let me go back to there. There we go. Okay, that's it. So yeah, Google Keep has turned into a great tool. I'd love to know if you guys are using it, which ones of you are using it or not. But the key thing to understand is for a note-taking app, it's got a nice integration with Google Chrome so you can quickly clip notes. It's got a reasonable camera. It doesn't have a sophisticated camera as Evernote, but it's so accessible and just so quick and so light. It feels like a very light, you know what it feels like? The difference between having a notebook, which Evernote is, and Post-it notes, right? That you can just kind of stick, even though you don't stick them everywhere, but the light feel of Post-it notes, you don't feel committed to a big long note when you create a Post-it note. You don't feel like you're committed to a big long note when you use Google Keep. It can be just a phone number. That's all. It can be just that. And in a notebook, that would stand out. You'd have to mark it all up and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So I hope that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of it. And if you haven't checked out our video on it yet, watch our video on YouTube on it. I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. We've gotten lots of great comments on it. Okay. Oh, yes. Daryl, are you thinking about consulting for emerging YouTubers? And I keep thinking I've got to get back to you because I saw you've reached out to me on this before, and yes, and actually I subscribed to your channel, Daryl, to have a look. So I don't think I'm necessarily always going to be the best person because I don't think I do things always the same ways others do. But I'm more than happy to spend some time with you talking about your channel. I think that Daryl does a channel on making you better writers, especially for academics. If I'm correct, you can correct me in chat if I'm wrong, Daryl. But you do some really nice videos, tutorial videos to be more effective communicators and writers. And yeah, I think I can help out with some things, but I'm at the point where I've hired a consultant to help me grow my YouTube channel, so I feel kind of distant. I feel kind of like I don't know whether I should be the guy that's teaching others. I'll teach people how to start, but you've got a pretty sophisticated offering already. So I'm happy to have a look at it and point you in the right direction. So we'll connect offline here, and we'll make sure that happens and have a good conversation about it. I don't love being a consultant. I like advising people. I like people bringing me in and asking my advice, but I don't like official designation of people paying me to consult because I just, it's just not my favorite activity. I love looking at your business model, giving you my advice on it, sharing ideas. So yes. Richard, when you can pull text up from something in Keep? I sent you 2 videos showing you how to do it. Yeah, Richard. In our video, I hadn't noticed, or I didn't see immediately how to pull text from images, which Evernote has always been able to do, and Google Keep can as well. And that was an omission that we had, which has been rectified in comments for the most part, but that was an omission that we had in the video, and it is very cool. Google Keep has some pretty sophisticated parsing capabilities to pull text out of handwritten notes or out of photos, which is so powerful. You know, you take a picture of a whiteboard and being able to later search on that picture. That's a really powerful addition. All right, the Sunshine Factory, first time liver. Or is it liver? Is it your first time as a liver? I think it's liver. I enjoy all my videos. Thank you, Sunshine Factory. Good stuff. Thank you again. What's the minimum amount to become part of your Patreon? The minimum Patreon bid is $1, I think. And most of our patrons, we have a very simple Patreon tier. Let me put in the link here. There it is. It looks good. We have just one tier, really. It's a $10 a month patronage, and for that you get half price to all of our courses, on all of our premium courses, plus you get access to our webinar archives. And we've got something new that we're going to start, that we're going to roll out in the next month or so, I'm hoping. Zoltar says, I'm using Cherry Tree. Perhaps you can do a review on it. The only disadvantage is the lack of cloud support. Otherwise, it's a great piece of note-taking software. I'll take a look. I'm not too excited about a note-taking tool that doesn't have some form of cloud support, because one of the keys to me for a note-taking tool is you need to get access to those notes wherever you are and whenever you are. So if I've created a note on my desktop computer and then I'm out somewhere and I want to access it and I've only got my phone with me, I still want to be able to access it. I think cloud is essential. Now, I understand the security aspects and the challenges there, but it's a tougher story to tell if it doesn't have cloud attached. Contentmakers.net says, Steve, you are the man. I'm not a man. No, the man. I'm not sure I'm the man, but I am a man. I will give myself that. Love my video content. I appreciate that so much. Contentmakers.net. We've done about 45 minutes, guys. I think that's a good time. I don't think we should push it too much. It's been a great conversation. I love this. I'm enjoying this format. I hope you guys are as well. Now, one question I have is, how many of you got notifications yesterday that we were doing the live stream today? If you're subscribed to my channel and you've hit the notification bell, you should have received notification, because that was a big criticism we got when our last week's live stream was that people were saying they didn't know that it was happening and it just dropped live and it was so instant. Whereas this week, I pre-promoted it by scheduling it yesterday midday. I scheduled it, so I'd love to know if you got those notifications and how that's all fitting together and working. Those of you who are on board, you're going to want to check out next week's video, because all of this hopefully is going to be part of next week's video. With that, I think I'm going to call it a day. Me. Got the email yesterday. Excellent. That's what I wanted to see. Now, there's a 20-second delay, I think, here. So when I asked that, so when I'm seeing it here. So that's why it's in. Daryl didn't see the notification. Okay. So some of you got it and some of you didn't. Now, Daryl, have you hit notifications on your subscription? That's a question I have for that. So these are all things that we will learn as we discover more and more about YouTube Live. I like YouTube Live. I like using this eCam. I love having a conversation with everybody. I love the ideas that you folks are sharing with me. Thank you so much. The placeholder for this time, my subscription feed yesterday. Saw the placeholder. I think there's just a typo there. I think Kenneth saw it. Steve, have you tried Nimbus Notes as an alternative to Evernote? No, I haven't. No. Okay, good stuff. All right. This is good. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you all so much for your time. You guys all have a great, great weekend. I think we've got May Day celebrations here in Ladner today, this weekend. So I'm going to be eating some burgers, I think, at some point over the weekend. Check out our videos next week. If you haven't yet signed up for Webinar Wednesday for next week, if you want to learn about Patreon, make sure you sign up for that. Please like and share this video. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support, especially those of you on Patreon. Until next time, I'm Steve Dotto. Have fun storming a castle.